As an architect, researcher, and teacher at this school, I want to design sustainably. I want to create a biophilic world and want to look to the past and pave the way to a bright future. Well, design and aesthetics are rarely taken into account when aiming for sustainability. Yet, from my point of view, they play a key role. Form should follow function, follow energy, aim for beauty, and pay attention to the people's need. Already the Romans discussed the quality of buildings. Vitruve defined that the triad of beauty, usefulness, and solidity was it that defined the quality of buildings. Though they regard it as no more attractive, Herzog and de Meuron admit that firmitas still could play a quite interesting role in modern architecture because it challenges the view on architecture in general. What is a wall? What is a floor? Here the research of building traditions can help. Herzog and de Meuron researched a lot on the old building structure, and they found out in the end that beauty enchants us, that beauty makes us curious about us and about the life, and stimulates us. Do more, create a biophilic world. We see here that not only sustainability does not only play a role for individual structures, but also for the street life. So it is interesting to also regard these aspects that play a very important role in social contexts. There's architect Wolfgang Frey, who has set up 5 principles of biophilic design. He says that ecology and the regard of materials according to their natural properties, that economy, the affordable planning structures, innovative design, society, integrative places to meet, and sensitive systems that motivate us for new attempts are the basis for sustainable design. When assessing the grade of sustainability of buildings, additional qualities should be taken into account, like also comfort and, for instance, the design for all, and even feng shui, as shown in these graphs. Architecture has a big contribution to social stability. So, therefore, sustainable planning measures should be promoted, like the Austrian State Award does, or the Swiss Solar Prize, and the Norman Foster Plus Energy Building Prize, which focuses on the integration of PV in the building envelope. Imagine that you were given a piece of land and you have enough money to build a house. What would you do? How would you build it? If you were an artist, a businessman, an investor, or a father of a newborn child, or mother of a newborn child, would you build it like your grandfather? Would you build it like a picture in a magazine? Or would you build it elegantly and impressive, or would you build it natural and ecologic? Would you make it from bricks, concrete, or mud? Alone or together with friends? And would you use high-tech or low-tech technologies? Well, this depends also much on the place that you have. It is different if it is in the heart of Europe with moderate climate and solid growth, or if it is in a hot climate in a rapidly growing community, like for instance in Mali. So the solutions would be very different. A big help can be the Sustainable Development Goals developed by the UN. They promote goals internationally, and they are very well accepted. And you can see here a list of the goals, all related to building and planning. There are quite a lot. And just one slide to show the opportunities of solar power. 31,000 terawatt hours until 2050 more should be enough for a change. It is much more than we have actually from atomic power. Below, you can see the beauty of PV roofs awarded by the Swiss Norman Foster Award. So there's no barrier for using them. But for the work with students and also for own projects, I set up a catalog of even more new requirements for sustainability. And I just would like to highlight some of them. Most important for me, because it's very new and we like to use it very much, is the development of a new vision for the community and its position in the region. A big picture deriving from regional planning, but very useful. And density, very often discussed. How should the new settlements and cities should be dense to spare ground and sites. So the density should be tailor-made for the size of the place, for the size of the buildings of a place. Gardening and food production, very important as an additional source in the built environment. Planning guidelines from energy-conscious construction. They are everywhere different because the boundary conditions are everywhere different. Regional building materials and crafts, this is new. They should not be transported and brought from far away. And the combination of massive support constructions and fill-in elements from renewable materials. Social considerations play a very important role. I think watching the elections at the moment, we see that this is very important to find connecting solutions. So neighborhood is. After this short intro, I would like to show some projects from design courses, mostly connected to research projects. For this specific project, there was a course called All is In, what meant all sustainable criteria should be included in the design and regarded, which is quite challenging. It is, just to name some, aesthetics, sustainability, adaptability, resilience, cost efficiency, energy efficient building envelope, renewable energy sources, robustness of the selected systems, flexibility, thermal simulation, evaluation with tools, life cycle analysis, life cycle cost analysis. So all this is necessary to achieve a smart and convincing overall concept, in this case for a town in the west of Austria, Feldkirch. At first sight, we see it is done from wood, which is the national building material in the west of Austria. The neighboring structures have been taken into account very well. Gaps and spaces are left free in between, and the chosen density of the development suits well for Vorarlberg. Also, in the interior, there was green integrated into the design, which always is very, very attractive. Another project done for immigrants and for the use of empty spaces and buildings in the center of towns. This project shows how a small gap and a small site can be used in a dense area to offer a good life there. The old building offered an exceptional height of the rooms, and so there could be introduced three-dimensional structures, very charming and very well suiting for young people. This was a project for new neighborhoods on the Nordbahnhof area. A new living concept should be developed with innovative technologies and connected to DIY construction. In the end, it should be a livable and animated neighborhood. This is the plan that the basis of the course. It was the winning project of an urban planning competition. And it shows very well that they overtook the Viennese block structure of the town. This project, which I like very much, shows flexible room structures room shelves with skeleton construction as a primary construction, with prefabricated wooden building elements as a secondary construction that can be easily changed. A concrete storage technology in the ceilings, and energy efficient envelope combined with an integrated renewable energy sources. This was also very interesting input. Parts of the building building volume were left empty to be filled in later when needed. So a very sustainable topic. Well, Karlstein, a businessman from Karlstein came to me and asked me to develop ideas not only for the site he had in Karlstein, but also to improve the life there. Karlstein is a community north of Vienna, close to the Czech border. The following requirements were taken from our catalog to be followed by the students. The development of a vision by a big picture for the whole community. Then the density chosen, tailor-made for the size of Karlstein. Gardening, planning guidelines were developed. Regional building materials, which is also wood in that area, and specifically home offices, because many people go to Vienna for work. This is an example for a big picture. It shows that the community should be developed into a community of short ways and cyclists. And most important, interestingly, was to change the main street to a boulevard where people can walk and meet. Here you see the atmosphere of a plus energy settlement. That's how it could be. And a visualization that shows how attractive life could be in a village north of Vienna. Kirchberg has been a touristic destination for Viennese since long, but lost its attractivity. Also here, a vision had to be developed as a first step. The main focus here was the recovery of the old stock, the revitalization of the old town center, to lead the discussion between living in the town center versus space consumption in the undeveloped area, and the conservation of green spaces that were available in the center. This shows the position of Karlstein in the region. Its disadvantage is that it's far away from the main traffic routes. That's how you can visualize analysis of landscape infrastructure and mobility. Walks are a very good research method to learn the specifica of a village. And furthermore, it was important to find out which buildings are important and which places are important to be kept, to be developed in Kirchberg, and also how mobility could work, if it could be organized a different way, and to discover good meeting zones. This was the end. As a result, the center was reorganized, and the existing building stock was renewed and also reused, and even some uses were changed from one building to the other. So the community was very much okay. Coming to sustainable refurbishment, a very interesting example was the Otto Wagner Areal. Imagine it is younger than this beautiful hall here, much younger. So we're very happy to have this hall as a place to perform our talks. The historic buildings yet of this former hospital were to be adapted for the future use, which will use the Central European University as a new location, the CEU, because they will move from Budapest to Vienna. Also here, a careful planning was required, which technologies are suitable for these old buildings, the integral and simultaneous use of planning tools, and also strategies for mastering the complex construction tasks. This is the church of Otto Wagner right at the top of the hill. It is the highlight of the area. Tourists, Viennese, and students like the place and will like the place. Also an example for a big picture here, showing how public transport to town could work. but maybe it could be a new connection to the underground 5, for instance. The next step was the refurbishment of the pavilions there for a university, for students' homes or university departments, using again the heights for three-dimensional constructions. Then reflect how the pavilions could be reused, what will remain of the structure, what will be removed, what could be changed courageously, how to use the given construction, and last step, the refurbishment of the exterior area to make it an attractive place for the students, for the teachers, and for the public. Last step, energy efficiency in supply. New technologies like interior insulation by silicate panels, vacuum insulation on the roof, exterior insulation on the bottom, controlled ventilation, PV, and earth collectors. Of course, this also has to be communicated, as it is done here, transparent PV on the facade, insulation at the bottom of the facade. Now, a small series of tiny houses built from wood and renewables, developed and built together with students. The first one is the pallet house, built from pallets, which are normally either thrown away, old pallets, or fired. And it is a nearly zero energy building, and it was shown at the Biennale in Venice and also in the Center of Architecture in Vienna. And a second one had been then built in South Africa for the Ituba Skills College, and nearly all was done with waste material. A second one is the Lisi House, which was built for the Solar Decathlon, and it was a winner project because of the connection of excellent design, innovative technologies, and ecology. It is a plus energy home and run totally by solar energy, nearly entirely built, 95% from wood. Vivi House, it is the official project of the International Building Exhibition in Vienna at the moment, of the IBA, built from prefab modules. A new system was developed within a research project, which is easy to mount, demount, and rebuild. It was built with students, as you can see even at Vienna University of Technology, and using straw and clay for the plaster, also in passive house standard. Even a street was constructed for the production of the modules. As a result of the project, there was also a book for the construction was produced, which is an interesting, informative book for all people interested in DIY. This will be the next step, going for larger buildings for mixed use regarding elements of sustainability and working primarily with renewables. As an excellent building standard, construction and execution is a matter of fact, of course, in order to limit climate change and guarantee comfort and a good life. This last project shows how to proceed in developing countries with low-tech technologies, using wood, straw, clay, and the future uses helping hands. This is a healthcare center in Mondikolok in the Afar region in Ethiopia. Making unburned bricks from earth, making together a simple roof construction from wood available there, covering the wall with mud plaster, and offering a good time under a big shadowing roof without needing cooling facilities and saving the energy that would have been needed for them. Here, our journey ends, saying that sustainable architecture can contribute much to a good life and bright future on Earth. I do hope that much more people will go for sustainable architecture in the future. Thank you for being with me today.